when I see something that matches something else, like maybe say for instance, I have an idea of drawing mountains, and then I wanted to pick an issue that relates to those mountains, then I do research, then I make it into something more,
Okay.
yeah, with more weight. But when it's fun stuff, it's just fun, and it doesn't, yeah, it's not always serious, and it's not always intentional, unfortunately.
That was Tenzin Tsering, better known by her online presence as Tenzoni. She was first introduced to art by her grandparents, who are artists themselves, curious and observant about how they use their paintbrushes and utilize different colors to create art. She spoke of how they inspired her to pick up a pencil and try her own hand at it. Tenzoni's creative journey also reflects her exposure and subsequent interest in art as it was portrayed in the pop culture of her youth. In her works, you can see the influence of the captivating characters and vivid coloring that so often appeared in cartoons and comics. Now, Tenzoni is a rising senior at the Ontario School of Art and Design and talks to us about her works.
I think for me, the first sort of artwork that I've seen was on television and through comic books. So I watched a lot of Cartoon Network. I watched a lot of anime. I read a lot of comic books, and like that's sort of what made me want to get into art. And even at a young age, I sort of liked to watch that entertainment and read in that sort of entertainment vein. And then I wanted to create sort of characters and pieces with a lot of color. And so I started just like experimenting and just having fun with it.
Tenzoni also spoke to us about how art allows her to explore all different aspects of her life, from the more serious topics to that which are purely mundane and fun.
For me, I guess art means something that I can explore my heritage and my opinions and the way that I see the world and just show other people how I view it. So I guess I do a lot of things that mean a lot to me, and also a lot of things that I just find fun. Tibetan contemporary art is a way for me to explore my heritage and my background, especially since like I guess being someone who doesn't really speak the language and has a parent of Tibetan background and Filipino background, it's sort of like I never really felt connected to either of them. So art is a way for me to help myself get connected, and also to help other people feel connected through my work with maybe Tibetan heritage, and their own background, and just feeling like they're able to voice their opinions and the way that they see the world through art as well.
One work by Tenzoni we'll be looking at today is her healthy cooking piece. The first thing that jumps out at me are the colors and just how playful this piece is. After carefully analyzing the work, you start to notice that although this piece has playful gestures, the lesson and meaning behind it are quite important and serious for viewers.
So in 2018, I created this like healthy cooking equals healthy mind piece. So this piece was created for school, but it took a more like interesting approach for me to go with it because I haven't really tried this gouache and ink medium that I used in this piece.
Mhm.
And I thought that the subject was really interesting, which is basically like when you eat healthy, your mind is able to be healthier, right? And like also there's like um the culinary practice of like art therapy. Some people struggle with like mental health issues. So I thought that this is a really interesting way to like bring it about. And especially in this time, like in quarantine, and people are cooking more and people are like trying to stay like I guess sane or trying to keep themselves entertained. Cooking is just like a really good way to do that. So I thought it's cool that it related to me back then, but it relates even more now. I got inspired by people in my class. So a lot of the other artists in my class like gouache, so I sort of was like, "Hey, how do you do that? How do you use this?" I saw my friend use like a wood panel for one of her pieces, and I was like, "I want to try that." So I sort of went about it with like my peers in mind, I guess. And then also the colors, they were just really fun and poppy, and I knew I wanted to do something really like fun and bright, I guess.
Mhm.
So that's how I went about choosing, or I went about creating this. It's just like sort of taking inspiration from wherever I could find it. Yeah, and obviously it starts with a sketch. My teacher approved it, and then I colored it.
The next work we'll be looking at is her piece, Sorting Out a Complicated Fight. It brings us back to the overarching theme of nature. In this piece, Tenzoni personifies nature with an observant and eerie gaze. The plants create a foreboding background behind the main subject in the foreground.
So for Sorting Out a Complicated Fight piece, which I did in 2019. Basically, what I was trying to get at for this piece is the idea of like environmental activism, and the phrase sorting out a complicated fight basically relates to that, as like these futuristic plant monsters in the background are sort of like telling us that we need to start taking better care of our environment.
Mhm.
And the little wilderness explorer girl in the foreground, she's sort of holding this baby plant and having the responsibility to take care of the environment. And I wanted to show that with like different colors and different style, I guess. So it's like a mix of digital and traditional media.
Rather than time of day or realism in space, she focuses on the evocative expressions of the plants who appear angered, and then the worry occupying the face of her main character. This serves as a commentary on the environmental issues which she continues to voice throughout her works by exploring the tensions of the human impact on our planet. Tenzoni's work interacts heavily with the environment as it is a running theme, and this is due to a reason that hits close to home.
It's kind of like in the back of my head, but I guess it is important because in my personal life, me and my dad do go camping a lot, and we go hiking a lot. We go to like national parks as much as we can. So I guess this sort of thing is personal to me, but I never really thought how lucky I am to be able to go camping, and I guess to go to these places that are so close.
Tenzoni confronts how selfish desires have led to the contamination of one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, and allows us to reflect on our actions when it comes to considering its environmental impact.
Basically, what I wanted to talk about this piece is how our waste sort of comes at a massive cost to our ecosystems, and basically showing that outdoor recreation is a privilege for people who can actually access it,
Mhm.
and for people who can actually go ahead and go to our wilderness. They have the means to do that, they have the money to do that, they have like the equipment to do that. And so I just wanted to bring about like the importance of Mount Everest being this like the highest mountain that a bunch of like climbers want to climb. But you also have to think about the privilege that you get to climb it. And also that Mount Everest is actually polluted as a direct result of travelers like looking to climb the mountain for their own satisfaction. So when I go through my artwork, when I make artwork, I just take things that are happening in my life or things that I get inspired by in my life, and it just seems to have this, yeah, as you said, there seems to be an ongoing theme of like nature and maybe some activism, and activism comes um naturally, I guess. Not saying that I'm like, oh, I'm a natural activist. It's not like that.
That being said, Tenzoni also has a message for her fellow youth and upcoming artists on how to overcome social comparison to evaluate individual work.